Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alex here, and I'm going to be doing something that I've never done before on this channel. I'm going to be putting out my predictions for the NFL, how each game is going to go, and I'm going to give you my way too early Super Bowl champions for Super Bowl 55. So, I'm going to start this off right off the bat, my way too early prediction for the Super Bowl. I'm going to say, as much as I hate to say it, being a Cincinnati fan, I'm going to say it's the Baltimore Ravens, because... hear me out now. They might have been booted first round last year, but they've done nothing but get better. I think Lamar Jackson's going to have an even bigger third year, and I think J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram's going to be one of the most terrifying backfields in the entire NFL. So, without further ado, let's get to my predictions. This is going to be hopefully the only one I do in my car, because I kind of just last second thought of this. I was thinking about doing it for a while, but now I just decided to pull the trigger. So, with tonight's game that's starting as I'm recording this in a little under an hour, or a little under half an hour, Kansas City hosting Houston. With this one, I think I'm going to have to give the edge to Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes just came off of the Super Bowl MVP. Kansas City coming off of just the Super Bowl win. And I'll put all that together, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he's going to be a pretty solid running back. Now, is he going to replace their current running back? I don't think so, but give him a couple years, I think he's going to be running back number one. Houston, on the other hand, they've got the stud in Deshaun Watson, but they don't really have a receiver one. That is my worry with Houston. After trading away DeAndre Hopkins, I think that's going to be a pretty severe hit. They still have Brandon Cooks, Kenny Stills, Will Fuller. They've still got some great receivers, but I think they're all going to be wide receiver twos. I don't think any of them would be a number one receiver anywhere, or just about anywhere else in the NFL. So with that, I think Houston's going to take the first week loss. Next up, we've got New York Jets traveling to Buffalo, and this one was a pretty easy one for me. I think Buffalo is going to take the AFC East. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this year, and I could see them going to the AFC Conference game if all goes well. I think Josh Allen is finally getting comfortable under center. As long as he manages his turnovers, I think he's going to be a pretty solid quarterback. They did add Stephon Diggs, so that's another target for Allen to toss to. And that Buffalo defense is always one of the best. And they're coming off of the NFL.com fan bracket champions, so that's going to make them feel good somewhere. And the Jets, I don't think they're a complete team yet. I think Sam Darnold needs to get more time to get rid of the ball and make a good play. He did lose his number one receiver in Robbie Anderson, and there's not much going for him there. They did lose a lot of key players. So I think Buffalo takes the week one win. Next up, Green Bay and Minnesota. Big division rivalry here. These are two teams that I think could make a shot at the playoffs. I think Green Bay, AFC runner-ups last year, I think they've got a good shot to go deep, to make a deep playoff run this year. NFC, let me correct myself, the NFC runner-ups, I think they've got a good shot to potentially repeat appearance in the conference game. They didn't add another receiver, though. That's what I'm worried about. That's why I think they're going to probably struggle later on in the year. Aaron Rodgers, still an amazing quarterback, but for whatever reason, they drafted backup Jordan Love in the first round rather than getting one of the best receiving classes of best receiver depth class in one of the drafts that had one of the biggest depth at the receiving position. They didn't take a receiver first round. That's what I think is going to worry me here. I do still think they have the edge over Minnesota. Minnesota did lose, like I said earlier, they did lose Stephon Diggs, so that puts Adam Thielen as as really the only primary target. And I think Minnesota did lose a pretty good chunk of their defense, so I'm going to say Minnesota is going to be a wild card team at best. I don't think they're going to make it past there by the end of the year. Next up, Philadelphia travels to Washington. Another pretty easy one for me to pick. I think Philadelphia is going to have the edge here. Carson Wentz, I'm still not completely sold on him, but he did have a pretty amazing year. He was something last year, about 500 yards to, 6 different receivers. If they can manage injuries, I think Philadelphia is going to be able to make a shot at the playoffs, but I wouldn't get my hopes up. Washington, on the other hand, is just in complete disarray. They do have Alex Smith coming back, that's going to be the shining. I want to say Alex Smith is going to be comeback player of the year. But we'll have to see. Hopefully, they get some production out of their defense. I think that's going to be where the real power play is here. The Washington defense did add Chase Young, who I think is going to be a solid edge rusher. And I don't think they're a playoff team just yet, but give them a couple years, they might be able to build something. Now, Cleveland at Baltimore. This one should be a close one, but it's probably going to be a big blowout. I think Baltimore runs away with this one. Lamar Jackson, like I said before, he's only going to get better. They did add J.K. Dobbins to complement Mark Ingram. They did lose a little bit of power in their defense, but I think it's still going to be one of the best in the NFL. I could see them going to the Super Bowl. At the very least, I want to say they're going to be an AFC conference runner-up. So, in Cleveland, they did add Austin Hooper. They did add another stud lineman who I can't think of his name. But they should have all the pieces together. It's all going to rely on how Baker Mayfield plays. If Baker Mayfield plays good, then the Browns will be a strong competitor in the AFC North. Right now, I see them sitting I see them battling Cincinnati for the third place position in the AFC North. Wasting away all these amazing players' talent. All right, Indianapolis at Jacksonville. I think this one could go. This one's going to be Indianapolis runs away with it. Right now, Jacksonville is in a rebuilding period. They've cut just about everything, every single all-star they've had. Really, they're tanking for tanking for Trevor Lawrence at this point. So I see Trevor Lawrence becoming a Jaguar next year. Indianapolis, they did add Phillip Rivers, which was a shock to just about everybody. Nobody expected Phillip Rivers to go to Indianapolis. To complement what is already a pretty solid, one of the best offensive line, to go behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, spearheaded by Quentin Nelson. The Indianapolis defense has been slightly better than average. I could see them definitely holding off Jacksonville, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team just yet. If anything, going to contest for a wild card spot. Next up, Las Vegas at Carolina. It's weird saying Las Vegas. This one I think is going to be another close one. I think Las Vegas is going to go with this one. They're going to run away with this one. They do have a pretty solid offense. I still think Derek Carr is going to be the weakest link here. But Las Vegas overall, I think, is a more complete team than Carolina at this point. Carolina, we're still questionable at quarterback. I want to say Teddy Bridgewater is going to be a great quarterback, but it's too soon to tell. He's never truly been a starter for a team that is currently rebuilding. I see Christian McCaffrey going off, but I think Las Vegas is going to have the edge here. Chicago at Detroit. That one I want to say is going to go to Chicago because the Chicago defense is still a pretty solid unit. I'm a little worried about Mitch Trubisky being the starter yet again. I don't think he's true number one quarterback potential here in the NFL. I want to say Mitch Trubisky is a solid backup anywhere, but if you're choosing between Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, I would say Nick Foles in this situation here. The Detroit Lions, still under Matthew Stafford, who's probably the most underrated quarterback in the NFL right now. I think if he had a solid, if he was on any of the team right now, he would be in discussion for one of the better quarterbacks in the league right now. But he's with the Lions. Lions are known for being mediocre at best. I think they're going to stay there. Even with adding Adrian Peterson, put him back in the NFC North, I don't think they're going to do much this year. Don't get your hopes up, Detroit. I have them right at 500. I'm going to predict the Detroit Lions go about 8-8 this year. Seattle at Atlanta. Atlanta, I mean, I've got high hopes for Atlanta. I'm hoping Todd Gurley goes good because he's on my fantasy team. Ooh. But I think Seattle's going to have the edge here. Seattle is one of my favorites to go at least to the NFC Conference game, possibly represent the NFC. As long as Russell Wilson is still able to perform, if they ever decide to give him an offensive line that's worth a damn, I think Russell Wilson's going to be in the talks every year to be one of the best in the NFL. Atlanta defense was one of the shakiest last year, and I don't recall if they did anything to help bolster that. So I think Seattle's going to take this one. it could go either way, though. Miami at New England. This is one that it's going to be weird because we're going to have Ryan Fitzpatrick going up against Cam Newton. I'd like New England in this situation because we are still looking at Bill Belichick. He's one of the best, or he is one of, if not the best coach in NFL history. Cam Newton, I mean, he's still a 2015 MVP. As long as he can get past injuries, I think Cam Newton is still going to be one of the solid choices. He's still a very strong quarterback. I think he's still going to be a contender for the passing lead this year. So I favor New England here. Miami, they're going to be Miami. I mean, I like to see what happens when Miami hosts New England. That game's always a chaos, and it's what cost New England the #1 seed last year. But I don't think Miami's going to get the win in Foxborough. All right, LA Chargers versus Cincinnati. Now, I might be a little biased here being a Cincinnati fan, but I think Cincinnati wins this one. Of all the games that are happening this week 1, I want to say this is the most evenly matched one. You've got LA Chargers, who traded away their all-star quarterback in Phillip Rivers, and they're putting all of their faith into a rookie quarterback. And, Cincinnati doing the exact same thing. Joe Burrow looking to make his debut as the #1 draft pick of 2020. I like to believe Cincinnati has one of the most underrated receiving corps in the NFL. AJ Green is going to be healthy. You've still got Tyler Boyd, CJ Uzomah, Auden Tate, T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon is still one of the best running backs in the AFC. One of, if not the best running back in the AFC. So Cincinnati did address their defensive issues in free agency, and they also took, I think, 4 linebackers in the NFL draft. There's got to be at least a couple that stick there. They did have the addition of Von Bell, which I really like, because Von Bell was one of the best in the business in New Orleans. So I take Cincinnati to shock the world and get the Week 1 win. A lot better than Week 11 or 12 against the Jets last year. Arizona at San Francisco is another one that I think could go either way. Arizona, Kyler Murray is still I think he's a solid quarterback. Maybe not one of the best in the league right now, but I think he's still a solid choice. And now he's got DeAndre Hopkins to throw to take some of the pressure off of Larry Fitzgerald. So Larry Fitzgerald, I think, is going to be open more. I want to say the double teams are going to be on DeAndre Hopkins. So that's going to let Fitzgerald shine. And, I don't know. I'm still shocked how they got DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, of all things. But I still think the 49ers have the edge here. Jimmy G, coming off of a not-so-stellar Super Bowl performance, he's still one of the winningest starting quarterbacks in the league right now. He's only got, 4 losses to his name? I like his odds here. They traded away Dee Ford. And, they've still got Nick Bosa, who's one of the best edge rushers in the NFL right now. Overall, I think the 49ers are going to take this one, but keep an eye on Arizona. They could upset everybody here. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. We've got 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks going head-to-head. Tom Brady travels to Drew Brees' home for the first time as a Buccaneer. I think this game is going to be a shootout. I don't think either defense is really going to be ready for what the other team has to offer. I think New Orleans has the advantage here, but it's another one that could go either way. I think Rob Gronkowski is going to be feeling that 1 year he took off, and Tom Brady is still going to be learning a new system. So I think for Week 1, I think New Orleans has the edge. Dallas at LA Rams. This is another one. I say this for all of them. This is one that could go either way, but I think I have I think I take Dallas in this matchup. Dallas is looking. They have no excuse to not be a playoff contender every single year. They've got Zeke, and they've got Prescott, they've got Pollard, Cooper. Now they've got CeeDee Lamb to go with it. They have no excuse to not be putting points on the board, along with one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. If they had a competition, I'd say their only competition right now is Indianapolis for the best offensive line. Dak Prescott has no excuse to not succeed. He did throw well over 4,000 yards last year. I think he's going to match that performance, and hopefully they put up more than 8 wins. This team should be no worse than a 10-win team every year. They play in one of the weakest divisions. The Philadelphia Eagles are really the only competition they've got. I want to say they go 5-1 in division, but we always know it's the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. The Rams, still shaky at running back now, since they did trade away Todd Gurley. I still don't think Jared Goff is going to be a starter for very long in the NFL. So I want to say, and they did trade away Brandon Cooks as well, so that's one less receiver teams have to focus on. So I am going to say Dallas takes this one. All right, we're down to our final 2. Pittsburgh at the New York Giants. This one's another rough one for me because I had to take Pittsburgh to win this game. Pittsburgh, you're getting Big Ben back, who's a perennial Pro Bowler. I don't think the 1 year off is going to affect him too bad. He is getting older, and I'm thinking that they're going to need Pittsburgh's going to need to start looking for a replacement for Big Ben, because Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph are not the answer. They do still have Juju, Washington, and Vance McDonald. James Conner, I think he's going to have a bounce back year. Last year was a little rough for him. I think he's going to bounce back and have a stellar year. And you still have one of the strongest defenses in the NFL. That steel curtain is going to hold strong against the New York Giants, who have Daniel Jones still under center. I think he's going to need a little bit more time to develop. He doesn't really have very many weapons. Saquon Barkley still I think Saquon Barkley is going to be the star of this offense. The New York Giants defense really isn't anything to brag about, so I think Pittsburgh's going to pull away with this one. Last but not least, Tennessee Titans at the Denver Broncos. I think Tennessee wins this game. Ryan Tannehill seemed perfectly calm and collected behind that Tennessee Titans offense. Derrick Henry is going to have another strong year. He's starting up against Denver, who I think their secondary is a little worrisome. I think Tennessee's going to run away with this one. Denver Broncos, a lot of young talent there, but I don't think it's going to be in position enough to take on the Tennessee Titans, the defending AFC runner-ups from 2019. I think Tennessee is going to be ready for this game. I think the defense is going to hold Denver. I'm going to make a prediction. I think Denver is going to be under. I think Denver is going to score 17 points at most against Tennessee. I think Tennessee just comes in and rolls right through Denver. But anyway, that is my predictions for week 1. We'll see you next week, see how I did. I'm hoping to go 16-0, but I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you guys like this kind of video, let me know. Next week's going to have like a proper backdrop, proper camera, everything. It's not going to be in the middle of a parking lot somewhere. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Later.